Hey guys, it's Alex, and today I'm here with a book haul. I'm in a slightly different location. I'm trying to fix my iffy lighting situation, and we're gonna see how this works, but I figured it was good to start with a book haul in case anything goes wrong. I've acquired books from a couple of different places the last 2 months. I haven't had a book haul since February, which is really good for me, and it's only my second of the year, so I'm very happy with the number of books that I am acquiring. The first place that I got books was the used bookstore. I took my last unhaul and sold some of the books there, so I got some store credit and they had a buy 5 get 5 free for kid and teen books, so of course I got 10. The first was Twice Taken by Susan Beth Pfeffer. This is about a girl who figures out that her father kidnapped her when she was a child. She sees her face on a missing kids thing, and I don't really know. I picked it up because it was fairly cheap, and I do like Susan Beth Pfeffer. I pretty much grab her books whenever I can just because I really loved Family of Strangers, which I haven't been able to find anywhere. But this sounded really interesting and really cool, and will add to my collection of Susan Beth Pfeffer on my shelf. Next, I got Hardy Boys Cult of Crime. This is the third in their Case Files series. I actually collect the Case Files books because when I was a kid, I had like 5, and they were so dramatic and so much more over the top than the normal Hardy Boys. There was a lot of things going wrong, and someone important died, and I was shook by that. You couldn't really read them out of order and still get the same feeling the way you can most Hardy Boys. So I grab these whenever I see them. I actually got 2 of these, but one was a duplicate because I didn't know which ones I had, so I'm not including that in this haul. But quite happy to have found this, and as soon as I get a couple more, I'm going to start reading this series. I actually only found 5 books that I really wanted. I was looking on the shelves, and there were 5 that I actively wanted to buy. So because I had 5 left that I would then get for free, I grabbed a bunch of old Hardy Boys books because I have no self-control, and I do really like these. And they weren't very expensive, so they really didn't add anything because these were, I believe, some of the cheapest that I got. So these were pretty much all free. I'll quickly go through them in case you're interested. Number 15, The Sinister Signpost. Number 7, The Secret of the Caves. Number 9, The Great Airport Mystery. Number 10, What Happened at Midnight. And number 17, The Secret Warning. I really like these old covers that don't have dust jackets. They're just old and really pretty, and I think they're from the 60s, but they make me happy. I don't actively collect these, but I figured why not, because they were basically free. And I mean, most of these books I got, I only paid a couple dollars after my store credits, so I was quite happy. And these are lovely additions, so I don't feel bad for grabbing them. Although my Hardy Boy shelf, my middle grade mystery shelf, is rather full, so I'm gonna have to do something with the Boxcar Children and Nancy Drew books because it's about to become a Hardy Boys only shelf. The rest of my books are less random than that, so in case you're actually interested in the quality of the book and what's in it, it's coming up. The first is This Is Not a Test by Courtney Summers. I don't know anything about what this book is about. I loved All the Rage by Courtney Summers when I read it last year, or the year before. And then last year I read Sadie, and that was amazing, one of my favorite books of the year. So when I saw that they had a Courtney Summers book, I just grabbed it because I'm down. I love her writing style. This is a YA contemporary, but beyond that, I really know nothing apart from the fact that I love Courtney Summers, and I really do want to read and own more of her books. And the last book that I got from the used bookstore was Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. This doesn't look like my kind of thing. It has a very cheesy cover, and it's the kind of cover that I'd be like, ooh, that sounds too cutesy cliche romancy for my taste. But I've actually heard that this is a really wonderful book, and I keep hearing people just rave on and on about it. So I wanted to read it for a while, and when they had it, I was like, okay, this is a sign. I need to get this and read it in 4 years, which is probably what's going to happen. But I think this is a trilogy, and this is the first one, so it looks really interesting. It's about a princess of some sort who's going undercover somewhere or in hiding, and there's an assassin and a prince going after her, and we get points of view from both the assassin and the prince, but we don't know which is which. So it's sort of you're reading from their perspective, trying to figure out who they are and why they're doing what they're doing and why they think the way they think. And I don't know. It sounds really interesting, and I think it's the Book Refuge who like always talks about this as one of her favorite books. So she's definitely talked me into this one. It sounds wonderful. Then I went to a little free library because bookstore didn't buy all my books, so I donate whatever they don't buy to the little free library. And I got Ian McEwan Saturday. I don't know much about this one. I've read 2 Ian McEwan books, Solar and Atonement. Atonement I thought was a good book. Solar I really hated, but apparently everyone hated Solar and I just should have looked up reviews for that. But this was the only book in the little free library I was interested in, so I kind of just grabbed this. Don't know anything what it's about because there were people there, so I kind of just grabbed it and fled. I'll probably look up reviews before reading this one, but I do really plan to read it because I do want to get into more of Ian McEwan's works. Then my mother was getting rid of a few books, and she was like, hey, do you have any interest in Erik Larson? And I was like, I love Erik Larson, which I do. He writes a lot of great nonfiction. And I say he writes a lot of great nonfiction. I've read half of one of his books. So I need to like read more of that, but I have 2 on my shelf. But my mother had Deadwake, which is about the sinking of the Lusitania, which I've actively wanted for a really long time. This was on my wish list, so I'm very excited that she was getting rid of this one. Super excited to get into more of Erik Larson. And she was also getting rid of Isaac Storm, which it's about a hurricane in Texas in 1900, and it's about a meteorologist named Isaac. So it sounds kind of interesting. I hadn't actually heard of this one, but honestly, just because it's Erik Larson, I'm down. I enjoy him, or at least the half of the book of his that I've read, but I do hear wonderful things beyond that, so I'm kind of down to read a bunch of his books. I just need to actually sit down and do it. I also have The Devil in the White City, which I haven't read at all, and I have In the Garden of Beasts, which I've read half of. That's the one I read half of, which I really loved it. It was just due back at the library, and I've since bought my own copy. So, excited for both of these, because now I think I own, like, most of what Erik Larson has written, I believe. Either way, I'm down. Very excited. Then I have a book that I hauled in a vlog, actually. I think my last vlog. The Girls Are Gone by Michael Brodkorb and Alison Mann. This I received for free in exchange for a review, and it's a true crime book about a man whose daughters go missing. I believe it's about his divorce and, like, very dark things. It sounds fascinating, and I kind of flipped through it, and it looks very heavy on, like, research and articles and trial stuff, which is absolutely fascinating to me, and I was excited to see that because I do like reading a lot of things like that. It looked like they were excerpts from things, and I don't know, I was down. This looks fascinating. Michael Brodkorb is a journalist. Alison Mann was a paralegal at the firm that represented the father, and it sounds great. Cammie's Corner and Joni Reed's are reading it for their crime scene pick in May, so I will be reading it next month, and I'm so down. This was actually on my TBR before it was offered to me for review, so that was pretty dope. And then the final book that I bought in the last 2 months was Talking as Fast as I Can by Lauren Graham. I'm very excited to own this. I do actually want to listen to the audiobook, but I want to read it first so that I can, like, fully comprehend the audiobook, because my reading comprehension is low when it comes to listening to audiobooks, and I do want to, like, fully appreciate this book because I adore Lauren Graham. I actually have her novel as well, which I still haven't read, but this book sounds wonderful. It gets so many 5-star reviews from people, and I love Lauren Graham. I love Gilmore Girls. I really loved Parenthood, and it's just, she seems like a wonderful person, so I'm hoping that I really love this book. I actually got this from Barnes & Noble, which is, like, abnormal for me. I haven't shopped at the last time I got a book from Barnes & Noble was, like, years ago. But they had it, and it was only, like, $7. And honestly, where else am I going to be able to find this book? Because it's not going to be in any thrift stores for, like, a very long time. But very, very excited. And I will get the audiobook from my library, probably. And, like, read along. Or just read it twice. Because I feel like this is going to be a book I'm going to be down to read twice. So that was 14 books, which is fairly reasonable for the past 2 months, especially considering, like, almost half of them were Hardy Boys books, so it doesn't actually add all that much to my TBR, and a lot of these are books that I'm, like, very seriously interested in. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books, if you're planning to read any of these books. I'd be interested to hear what you thought of them, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all again soon.